CTV News with Sarah Freemark.
Fire trucks and emergency crews lined a quiet residential street today after a house fire claimed the life of an elderly woman. Thank you for joining us. The community in Newmarket is mourning the loss of a neighbor after an early morning fire left one woman dead and two others injured. CTV's Jack Morris has been following this story for us tonight. He joins us live. Jack, what do we know?
Well, Sarah, the Ontario Fire Marshal is still on the ground at this hour investigating the cause of the early morning fire. It happened a little after 6:30 this morning here on Kirby Crescent. Firefighters began to battle the flames while search and rescue went inside. They found a woman in a bedroom who firefighters pulled from the home with life-threatening injuries. She was taken to nearby South Lake Hospital where she died. Two men inside were able to get out on their own. They were also taken to hospital. The exact nature and extent of their injuries have not been released. The cause of the fire is not yet known. The fire marshal is currently investigating.
It's hard for me to determine how long they're going to be. Each incident varies in time. At this point, it is the initial stages, so I could tell you we probably will be here as well for tomorrow.
7 trucks and 28 firefighters from Central York Fire Services responded to the fire. York Regional Police are holding the scene while the fire marshal investigates. No details have yet been released on the nature of the woman's injuries or the cause of her death. Sarah.
Okay, thanks for that, Jack. Now we have another update on the Canada Day home invasion that put the town of Huntsville in a hold and secure. OPP officers arrested an 8th person on Tuesday in connection with the armed incident that happened in the Hillside area on July 1st of 2025. A 32-year-old from Brampton is now facing multiple charges, including robbery with a firearm and kidnapping. The accused remains in custody, but investigators warn that other suspects who may be armed and dangerous are still at large. Police are searching for a suspect in connection with a hit and run in Markham. It happened at the intersection of Denison Street and Featherstone Avenue. York police say a 19-year-old woman was crossing the street when she was struck by a vehicle. Officers say she was carried on the windshield of the car for several meters and is now in stable but critical condition.
When we arrived on scene, we located various items belonging to our victim strewn across Denison Street to about Cuba Way, which is 50 meters down the way, and the victim in the roadway. A video canvas of the area at the time showed that the victim had just left a vehicle or a bus at this intersection and was making her way northbound across the intersection towards Denison when this vehicle that was waiting to turn left had gone through the light with the traffic light and struck her while she was in the crosswalk with the right-of-way.
The driver fled the scene in a dark blue Honda Civic that is said to have obvious windshield damage. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Barrie's landfill is shut down this hour after a small fire broke out in a wood waste pile. Staff say this is the second time this week a fire ignited in the same spot. Lingering smoke in the area prompted the decision to close the site out of caution. The landfill is expected to reopen tomorrow morning. At the start of the year, the province rolled out a new recycling program, which added a few new bumps in the road to curbside collection. But a family in Oro-Medonte says their recycling wasn't picked up for almost 2 months. CTV's Luke Samard caught up with them to find out more.
For nearly 2 months, Adriana Winterick and her family have been collecting their recycling in their garage, not because they want to, but because recycling trucks have been missing their home.
If you miss it once or twice, I get it, but after the 3rd time, you should notice a house here.
Winterick has not seen her recycling collected since the middle of December when the county was in charge. Since then, responsibility has changed for pickups. As of January 1st, Terra Environmental took over.
The first 2 pickups, I just gave them the benefit of the doubt. Oro or Terra maybe didn't know who was doing what.
After weeks of communication with Circular Materials, the service provider for Terra, including emails, phone calls, GPS confirmations, and even visits from supervisors. Winterick's recycling was finally picked up this morning.
They came and only picked up our recycling bags, so they left all of our cardboard. I asked them why they're not taking our cardboard. She stated that some of the cardboard is over 34 inches.
CTV News reached out to Circular Materials and asked multiple questions, including asking if Emterra Environmental would return to collect the remaining items left behind today, to which they replied, "We have reviewed service data for this location to better understand the issue and help ensure future collections run smoothly. We coordinated with the resident to arrange for the recycling material to be picked up and sent staff in a truck to the household on February 20th. Materials that are placed roadside, are clearly visible, and meet Ontario recycling requirements will be collected." Adding that cardboard should be no larger than 60 by 60 centimeters or 23 inches. With the remaining cardboard, Winterick remains hopeful that Emterra will collect the recycling on the next collection date, which is next Tuesday. Luke Samard, CTV News, Oro-Medonte.
Let's go ahead and say good evening to Casey Colby on this Friday night. What a weird day, Case. Rain in the morning into fluffy flakes of snow in the afternoon. What are we dealing with now?
We're celebrating. That's what we're doing. We're celebrating a win. That's what we're doing. Yes, we're approaching the latter stages of winter, and things do tend to get a little sloppy. And this is a sloppy day. Still getting dripped on out here in the garden, I might add. Let's continue on with the first look at the forecast, brought to you by our friends at, there they are, Presler Injury Law. Call 1-800-JUSTICE. Right at the freezing mark. That's where we're sitting, Sarah. The winds for the time being out of the southeast, about 9 kilometers an hour. They're going to pick up as the evening progresses, and we're anticipating wind speeds, about 50 a little later on, and shifting directly out of the east. This is the temperature outside your door as we speak. 2 degrees in Owen Sound, 1 in the sunshine city of Orillia, 2 in Toronto, 1 in Newmarket, and 1 degree up Parry Sound Way, where they're probably receiving a little bit of wet snow right now, maybe even coming down in the form of rainfall. It's widespread, as we can clearly tell. And coming up in just a few minutes' time, we'll let you know what the weekend holds. And if we're back into the snow, if we're out in the rain, if what we're doing, it could be a sloppy one. In fact, I'll let you know, spoiler alert, it is a sloppy one, Sarah. The sloppy details coming up in a few minutes' time. Back inside.
Thanks, Casey. The sentencing hearing for a man convicted of selling mimicked works of late Indigenous artist Norval Morrisseau got underway in a virtual Barrie courtroom. CTV's Mike Arcelidis reports on the complicated case of Jeff Cowan.
Justice Laura Bird heard arguments from the Crown and defense in the sentencing hearing of convicted art fraudster Jeff Cowan, the 50-year-old Niagara area man who represented himself in trial and was found guilty by a jury of selling mimicked works of Indigenous artist Norval Morrisseau as part of an art fraud ring that involved hundreds of purported forgeries his co-accused said were sourced from Cowan. Without the assistance of a lawyer and choosing not to testify during his 2-month trial, Cowan has now hired Toronto appeal lawyers Nathan Gorham and Brianna Van de Beek, who made arguments on what the court should consider before sentencing Cowan, who along with Jim White and David Paul Bremner was the third man convicted in Barrie last year of fraud charges involving forged Morrisseau works. Cowan was found guilty in November of 4 counts of fraud, convicted of passing off purported works of the man widely considered the grandfather of contemporary Indigenous artwork in Canada.
When you shift your consciousness to there, then you're able to paint.
Unanimously, all 12 jurors decided the Crown proved beyond a reasonable doubt Cowan was guilty of uttering forged documents, defrauding the public, and 2 customers out of property valued at more than $5,000, with Cowan being the source of works that flooded the market. The defense argues Cowan was not involved in the sophisticated planned production and distribution of forged paintings, as the Crown suggests. Cowan telling the court during trial he acquired many of his pieces from his late uncle. Gorham asking the court to allow Cowan to now testify and explain he wasn't part of a larger art fraud ring as alleged by the prosecution. The Crown proved beyond a reasonable doubt Cowan committed fraud involving hundreds of paintings he knew were forgeries or knowingly provided buyers false provenance, which is relied upon in the art world to trace ownership of works back to an artist to establish the works are authentic. The defense will argue at most the Crown proved Cowan might have been willfully blind when dealing a few pieces of art for which he was found guilty of fraud. Cowan's sentencing hearing is scheduled to continue next week. Mike Arcelidis, CTV News, Barrie.
A former Toronto police officer from Barrie accused of working with organized crime made his first virtual court appearance this morning. That was in Newmarket. 55-year-old John Madeley Sr., arrested in January, is one of 8 officers charged as part of Project South, the York Regional Police investigation. The 7-month probe alleges several officers worked with organized crime groups involving in drug trafficking and illegal gambling, providing confidential information to gangs across the GTA and Toronto. The last flights operated by Canadian Airlines have left Cuba. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canadian Airlines have brought nearly 28,000 travelers safely back to Canada. Some international airlines are still offering commercial flights for anyone stuck in the Caribbean country. Now, these are the dim nighttime scenes in Havana. Canadians are being urged to avoid all non-essential travel to the country as the crisis over shortages of many essentials from food to electricity worsens during a U.S.-imposed oil blockade. The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down President Donald Trump's global tariffs, a major political and economic blow with wide-ranging implications, including for Canada. CTV's Abigail Beeman explains.
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed.
The American president says he's deeply disappointed in the U.S. Supreme Court decision striking down so-called IEEPA or fentanyl tariffs. He then, as many predicted, announced new ones.
Today I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122, over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country.
President Trump has famously said his favorite word is tariff. And so I don't think they're going to simply walk away.
IEEPA tariffs collected an estimated $240 billion. The Supreme Court decision did not address refunds, while one dissenting opinion noted handling them would be a mess.
Unraveling that and securing refunds is going to be messy, but that's certainly going to be a key issue that Canadian businesses are going to be focused on.
While steel and aluminum, automotive and lumber tariffs remain in place. Yet the vast majority of Canadian goods were exempt from IEEPA tariffs anyway due to CUSMA, the free trade deal that's up for review.
With these midterms, with a shifting political climate in the United States, with the inability of Congress to just follow him at a command, all of those things add up to a situation where I think it is more likely that he's actually going to engage on CUSMA than attempt to burn it to the ground.
The lead minister on the Canada-U.S. file said in a statement the court decision reinforces Canada's position that IEEPA tariffs are unjustified, but, quote, critical work lies ahead to fight for businesses still impacted by tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Now, Premier Doug Ford did offer his thoughts on the decision, posting online. Today's U.S. Supreme Court decision is another important victory in the fight against President Trump's tariffs. But the battle isn't over yet. I won't stop fighting until every last tariff against Canada is dropped so we can grow our economies and create jobs on both sides of the border. Last night, the education minister was in the hot seat in Parry Sound. At a town hall meeting, parents brought forward tough questions to the minister, all looking for answers about the new so-called super school. CTV's Eric Tashner explains.
Parents are upset, frustrated, concerned, and downright disappointed at a town hall meeting where they took Education Minister Paul Calandra to task over the new $58 million kindergarten to grade 12 mega school, which has been delayed a whole year.
Explain that to us.
Calandra told them he understands their worries, saying they've been let down, but that he's here to put the project and board back on track.
Judge us by what we accomplished and not by what we're saying tonight. I'm completely ready to be held accountable for what I deliver for the people of this community.
He took control of the board in December, and trustees were dissolved after a scathing board governance review found dysfunction and chaos, which ultimately led to the new school not being ready for the first day of class. Calandra says the super school is 90% complete. The main issue surrounds exterior brickwork, which is going to have to be ripped out and replaced since it was laid incorrectly. The province is in the midst of hiring a new general contractor.
This area is continuing to grow.
Parents, though, skeptical that when complete, there won't be enough room and class sizes will be too large, with the closure of another school taking place and another being transferred to a different board.
To not think of the future and not think of the growth that's happening now and in the future, I can almost see that we're going to have to build a new school in the next 5 years.
The numbers that we have suggest that it will be big enough for 26, 27, 27, 28, and 28 to 29.
Many of them are now leaving with more questions asked than answered.
They came here very unprepared. They didn't know the numbers. They didn't know the numbers that the school would fit. They didn't know the floor plan.
Calandra says he plans to remain in control of the board until the new school is built and until governance issues are rectified. Eric Tashner, CTV News, Parry Sound.
Well, it certainly is a day to don red and white, with Canada's men's hockey team battling for a chance to go for gold. I hear you. That looks like our newsroom. That was the scene at the downtown branch of the Barrie Library. Another game right down to the wire, and watch parties have been so popular with so much on the line. Many are hoping to help turn the tide after yesterday's loss in the finals for the women's hockey team.
This has been an amazing chance for the community to come together, which is what we want to do here at the library. So being able to show the games here has brought together everyone from young kids to older adults and everyone in between. So it's been a great chance to connect and really enjoy a game together.
It feels like we're Canadian. We're all gathering together, different walks of life all in one area at the Barrie City Library here, and we're all cheering together as one nation. One country. Started watching the hockey women's and men's league, cheering them on. The crowds are getting bigger every time we come. Today was a pinnacle game, and everybody's pretty excited right now.
This means Team Canada will now advance to the gold medal finals, and we know who Canada will face. It's the rival Americans in that big game. Team USA topped Slovakia to force a rematch of the intense Four Nations final. It was exactly 1 year ago today. That'll be a big one. Across the pond in Milan, not too far from where all the action is happening, fans packed bars, cafes, and every establishment in between with a screen to catch Canada's game, and CTV's Heather Butts captured those sights and sounds.
Another emotional night for Canadian hockey fans here in Italy, with a game many said was far too tight for too long. At this bar here in Milan, a popular place for Canadians to come and watch hockey and celebrate together. Tonight, there is jubilation that Canada's men's hockey team will play in the gold medal game.
The first year is so stressful, like just being down, and then all of a sudden Canada put all the energy in and just crushed it right to the bitter end.
Let's go, Canada! Let's go!
As you get closer to the finals, these teams are just way too strong. So, and it doesn't matter what team it is. It's unbelievable, man. They're good hockey.
I'd like to be at the game today, but a close second is this. I mean, a couple hundred Canadians, just crazy. This is how it should be at the Olympics.
We're just a family that just enjoys hockey in general, and this was just amazing opportunity to be here in Milan with my kids.
There is so much joy and excitement here tonight. New friendships formed over sport, and those who don't have tickets tell me they will be back here to cheer on their team in the gold medal game on Sunday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan, Italy.
Now, with that early start of the game on Sunday, the Premier is clearing the way for all bars and restaurants across the province to start serving alcohol early on that day. Licensed establishments will be able to start serving at 6 a.m. The city previously allowed early alcohol sales for the entire Winter Games. Now the Premier is pushing to make the rule the same across the province for a single day to allow people to drink while watching the gold medal hockey game. And there is a lot of pressure that comes with competing on the world stage, and win or lose, there's an impact on athletes. We'll be speaking with a best-selling author known as the Teamwork Doctor a little later in the newscast about the mental effects, both from competition and pressure from fans. Right now, though, let's take a look at the medal count as we wrap up another busy day. Norway continues to hold on to the top spot, 37 medals under its belt. The United States has surpassed Italy to take number 2 with a total of 28. Italy is third with 27. Canada, we're once again in 11th place, but we did end the day with 14 or day 14 rather, with 17 medals. Making wishes come true, one plunge at a time. Next on CTV Barrie, these staffers brave the bitter water of Lake Simcoe to show their residents just how much they care. Plus, Ontario's largest youth theatre festival is set to take the stage in Barrie, with thespians coming from right across the country. You're watching CTV Barrie. Thanks for staying with us. The water in Kempenfeld Bay in Barrie was cold today, but spirited supporters with warm hearts braved the frigid water to make a big splash.
We absolutely believe that joy is ageless, and we just want them to have their dreams come true.
That's some of the staff from Chartwell Retirement Residences in Barrie and Collingwood taking the plunge for the 3rd annual Polar Bear Dip. 11 of them jumped, all to raise money and awareness for the Chartwell Wish of a Lifetime program, which helps make dreams come true for seniors.
Let's make wishes come true! We've had many seniors locally here from Barrie receive wishes. That includes going to professional sports events. This past year, we had a resident fly a warplane in Hamilton, Ontario.
It's something that you don't think you'd ever get to do, and I did. And meeting Mitch Marner was the biggest thing of all. He put the sweater on me, and it was great.
I think I'd be in and out. Gosh, the group raised over $2,000, which will go towards making more wishes come true. And if you know a senior who would love this, you can nominate them. It's a festival that has been influencing and positively impacting the lives of young people for more than 80 years. It is the National Theatre School's Drama Fest. Drama Fest invites young people to develop and hone their listening skills, empathy, communication, and conversations through the safe self-expression of theatre. From managing to performing, students are adjudicated with an opportunity to advance to provincial competitions that are as much about personal support as it is competition.
As a teacher, I have always reveled in the ability to see a student's potential before they do, to help them evolve so they can see it and keep that momentum going. The Drama Festival itself lets me push that beyond just my classroom.
Tickets to Drama Fest theatre performances presented on all stages across our region are now available. Last night at the Sadlon Arena, the Barrie Colts hosted their Talk Today hockey game. Aimed at breaking the stigma, the event was all about encouraging fans of any age to reach out for an assist when needed. It was put on in partnership with the Canadian Mental Health Association's Simcoe County branch. A program is also in place to teach players about mental health and suicide prevention, connecting them with support resources. Well, you don't expect a propane tank truck to turn heads, but a new one that is rolling through Simcoe County certainly does. This truck is a moving work of art wrapped in bold colors and powerful Indigenous artwork. It's a result of the Sargent Company's partnership with First Nation artists and the McLaren Art Centre, inviting young people to transform its fleet through its truck art program. Now, not only a lot going on today, but looking ahead to the weekend, there will be plenty to keep tabs on, and that can be done on our website, ctvnews.ca/Barrie, or scan that QR code on your screen. Still to come, what a day for speed skating. An Olympic bronze for Canada, and here at home, some of the province's best showed their speed at Allendale Rec Centre. We'll take you there, but first, let's head outside. Case.
Sarah, rain, snow, and now ice pellets? No big deal. It's a big happy birthday to a longtime viewer, Sam Smith, turning 35 years old. She enjoyed coffee indoors to celebrate her birthday. Our weather watcher artiste, have a look. Yeah, Alexander's pulling us back outdoors and saying, early spring, please. You're watching CTV News Barrie.
Picture this. Brought to you by Bounce 104.1 and Pure Country 106.
Just love that. The whole family, the furry ones and everything, was our choice for Picture of the Week. Now, we are turning the page on family fun, but the excitement continues because it's all about athletes of all ages. Send us your sports photos on the ice, on the field, in the gym, on the slopes, whatever it is that keeps you active. Go ahead and send it to us. Picture this at ctv.ca. Casey Colby, speaking of being active, the semifinal game today, a roller coaster of emotions. We were down by 2 and then we tied it up, but then, oh wait, were we offside? Would the goal be disallowed? No, and then it was down to the wire. I was freaking out in here. What was your favorite part?
The final. Yeah. We're all sitting on the edge of our seats, obviously. Finland, very good hockey team. And catch a few breaks, right? We catch a few breaks. We'll take them. We could use a few breaks as far as weather goes, some people are saying. Some people? Maybe you? Let's find out. Let's talk about if we're going to get a break this weekend as far as the weather goes, winter weather goes. At this point, we're looking at 1 degree in Collingwood, 2 degrees in Owen Sound, 1 degree in the Sunshine City of Orillia. It's a bit of a sloppy one right across our region, 2 degrees in Allison and 2 degrees in Toronto. Holding steady at -3. In Algonquin Park, where the wild things are, a messy day for our almanac. Temperature-wise, 1 and 0. That's the high, that's the low. A record 13 degrees back in 2018 and minus 31.5 in 2015. Sun rises tomorrow, 7:09, sets at 5:56. 10 hours and 47 minutes of daylight. Adam, be so kind as to roll that forecast. Ew, yes. Some ice pellets, some snow, some rain. And does it ever want to go away? Well, for the weekend, at this point, it's looking like it kind of wants to stick around. Yeah, kind of. Cloudy skies, not a whole lot of sunshine this weekend. Let's break it down, take a look at some of the numbers, and here we go. Southern tip of Georgian Bay Lake, Simcoe. As mentioned, the winds out of the east, 30 to 50 k. They'll amp up as the evening progresses. 0 is where we will sit. Snow, ice pellets, rain. We're enjoying some ice pellets right now. And for tomorrow, well, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow during the course of the day, certainly coming down in Owen Sound. Everywhere else, 2 to 4 centimeters. And in the evening, an additional 2 to 4 centimeters. May even see as much as 5 centimeters in and around Penetanguishene Midland tomorrow night. This is Orangeville, Bradford, Georgina, Newmarket, Richmond Hill. Cloudy skies, rain, 60% chance of some flurry activity. More rain-oriented in the southern portion of our viewing area. 1 and 2 degrees for tomorrow. Snow 2 to 4 centimeters during the course of the day. An additional 2 to 4 in the evening should not surprise. Parry Sound, Huntsville, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, Halliburton, -1, -3, -4. Cloudy or about 2 centimeters of snow. Just add a little bit of slippery to your life. And then for tomorrow, well, highs of 1, 0, -1, -2, cloudy, and some snow flurries kicking around. No additional accumulation during the day, but in the evening, 2 to 4 centimeters, according to Environment Canada. That's tonight and tomorrow. Now, time for the Diamond and Diamond Lawyers 5-day extended forecast, and it looks like this starting in Simcoe County for the rest of your weekend. Sunday at this point looks cloudy and a 60% chance of flurry activity. Monday, it looks like 40% chance of snow. Oh, sun! On Tuesday and Wednesday? Well, certainly Tuesday, sunny skies. Wednesday, I'm anticipating a change as far as the sun goes and the advent of a little cloud cover, cooling off considerably too. York region, have a look. Sunday, cloudy, 60% chance of snow. Monday, really cooling off. Look at that overnight low, -17. Cloudy, 40% chance of snow. Tuesday looks like a keeper, -7, -9. And Wednesday arrives, it looks like cloudy and 30% chance of flurry activity. Muskoka, Parry Sound, Halliburton. At this point, it looks like, a cloudy, wet, kind of soggy, kind of snowy. That just about covers it. Weekend, 40% chance of flurry activity. Monday, it looks like 40% chance of flurry activity. -23. Whoa, that's going to be a freeze, isn't it? Big time freeze. And Tuesday arrives, everybody gets sunshine. And then Wednesday, here comes the cloud, -2, -8. But as we're in the latter part of February, we see spring, month away. Embrace. Sarah.
Let's head to the Sunshine City, where the 2026 Ontario Winter Games are officially underway after last night's opening ceremony in Orillia.
A symbol of unity, determination, and the incredible spirit of the Orillia 2026 Ontario Winter Games.
Very cool. The cauldron is lit. And for the next 2 weeks, venues right across the region will host high-level competition. Athletes between 12 and 18 are taking part, many hoping to prove they have what it takes to represent Team Ontario at next year's Canada Winter Games.
And I think then the energy is felt everywhere. It's felt in the community, all around, frankly, all around Ontario. And the impact is more than just on the athletes. It's on the community and development of sport and inspiring. At this time of year, with the Olympics going on, if they don't get inspired by that, then go out and perform, do the performances of their life, whether it's individual or team, they should take up chess. But that won't be the case. They're fired up and ready to go.
That was a good one. 18 sports are featured, from curling and cross-country skiing and fencing. But today all eyes were on the elite speed skaters who took to the ice at the Allendale Rec Centre.
Kind of like a mini Olympics, going back to the hotel. It's like, whoa, no parents, you know. It's different, but cool.
We have 64 athletes participating from all across Ontario. We have 25 member clubs in Speed Skating Ontario, and participants here from most of those clubs representing their hometown.
Local talent includes Fiona Clark-Sykes, Caitlin Bezzo, and Zoe Hazel. And Barrie speed skating coach Mike Bezzo says hosting this caliber of competition is a really big moment.
Ontario Winter Games is only hosted every 2 years, so it is an exclusive event to get into. Skaters, just like what we see at the Olympics, they'll have to qualify and go through the different stages of each distance in each competition. So it's a lot of racing that goes to it and a lot of work that goes into these people winning the medals.
The Ontario Winter Games run until March 1st. Still to come, Olympic fever is running high from Canada's massive day of victories to how both wins and losses impact our high-level athletes. We'll have more Winter Games coverage coming up next. Stay with us. Recapping our top stories, the sentencing hearing is underway for convicted art fraudster Jeff Cowan. The 50-year-old was found guilty of selling mimicked works of Indigenous artist Norval Morrisseau. Cowan's sentencing hearing is scheduled to continue next week. The Ontario Fire Marshal is investigating after an early morning fire claimed the life of an elderly woman and left 2 people in hospital. It happened a little after 6:30 this morning on Kirby Crescent. The cause of the fire is not yet known. And in Oro-Medonte, one family says their recycling wasn't picked up for almost 2 months. As of January 1st, Terra Environmental took over, and after weeks of communication with Circular Materials, they arrived today but didn't take everything, saying that some of the boxes are too big. A big day for Team Canada in Milano Cortina as we head into the final weekend of the Olympics. Canada will play for gold in men's hockey, and more athletes proudly wearing the maple leaf found themselves on the podium. CTV's Scott Hurst brings us our Olympic roundup.
Dreams of Olympic gold are still alive in the men's hockey tournament.
Ultimately, a big win, and now they get to play for the gold medal.
Team Canada beat Finland today to punch their ticket to the final game. The Canadians were trailing 2-0 in the second period when the red and white scored 3 unanswered goals.
This little bit of adversity, this is a good thing for Team Canada. They've learned what it takes when the games tighten up and the skill part is not necessarily available to them right off the bat. How do you grind so you can get to that skill game?
Nova Scotia's Nathan McKinnon with the game winner on the power play with just 35 seconds left in regulation. The final score, 3-2 for Canada. More medals today in speed skating. Valerie Malte was back on the podium for the 3rd time at Milano Cortina in long track. The 35-year-old in her 5th Olympic Winter Games won bronze in the women's 1,500 meter. Canada also landed on the podium in men's free ski halfpipe. Brendan McKay needed a big score on his 3rd and final run, and that's exactly what he got from the judges. A 91 even, enough to put him into 3rd, a bronze medal for the 28-year-old from Calgary in his 2nd Olympics. With just a couple of days left in the Olympics, there are still plenty of opportunities for Canadians to land on the podium, including in both men's and women's curling. The women will play for bronze against the Americans tomorrow, while the men have a shot at gold against Great Britain. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, as the Winter Olympics wrap up and medals are won and lost, what viewers don't see are the emotional expectations that are placed on many of these athletes. Joining us now to talk more about these effects is best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, Leanne Davey, known as the Teamwork Doctor. Thanks for making the time, Leanne.
Oh, so pleased to be here, Sarah.
Now, you've spent about 25 years studying the cognitive and emotional burden that can fall on people. In this case, it's Olympians. What have you learned?
So we think and we focus so much on workload, and certainly Olympians have an incredibly heavy workload that they have to handle, all that they have to pay attention to and all their training. But what we don't pay enough attention to is our thought load. And that's all the things beyond the actual performance we have to pay attention to, plus all the emotional burdens, the roller coaster we ride. And if you think about being an Olympian, that roller coaster has really high peaks and valleys of, performance anxiety and am I doing right by my parents who gave up everything to help me get here? Or am I doing right by the fans? So it's a very big emotional burden, and we have to factor that in. It's really more about our thought load that leads to high performance, not just our workload.
Yeah, we're looking at some images of the Canadian women's hockey team. An incredible accomplishment coming away with the silver, but a lot of disappointed faces in this moment. But then, of course, they have to pull it together right afterwards. And in your book, you talk about surface acting. Can you explain to our viewers what that is?
Well, looking at the Canadian team on the podium, hopefully they aren't surface acting at all. Hopefully those women are incredibly proud, genuinely proud of their incredible accomplishment. But some of them are probably disappointed that they had a chance. They were even closer than I think people thought they were going to be. They were so close. And so surface acting is when we put on the show, the expression, we fake the emotions that we believe other people want to see from us or that we should do in a situation. And that's, just as much for you and I as it is for Olympians. But think of that camera right in their face as they're standing in the second place spot on the podium. Or at the bottom of the hill, when they come across, you see them swoop at the bottom of a ski hill, look up at their time, and they're not even on the podium. And then they're having to right? Surface acting is incredibly costly to us. So what happens is when we don't have the time or energy or bandwidth to properly process an emotion, that's called the deep acting, then we surface act and we put on a show. And what we find is that burns our energy more quickly. And we even wake up the next day more exhausted and more burned out because we've been surface acting the day before. So really costly.
Okay. Finally, I'd like to talk about the fans. There are so many people watching these games. What does their reaction to both wins and losses really do to an athlete in this case?
So there's a very powerful thing that happens in our world. We've talked so much about COVID in the last 5 years. We know about viruses spreading in the air. Well, emotions spread just as fast as viruses. It's called emotional contagion. And great fans create positive emotional contagion for our athletes. That roar of the crowds at the figure skating rink, they hear that, they feel that, and that positive emotional contagion can really lift them up and give them a boost of energy. But negative emotional contagion can take down an entire team. If someone's just not feeling right, is overly anxious, that emotion can spread. So as fans, we don't ever want to lose hope. We don't ever want to have our negative emotional contagion or our disappointment bleed over into our athletes. So being very aware of what emotion you're spreading is really important.
Okay, we will leave it there for today, but we appreciate the insight. Now, we will remind our viewers, if this is a conversation that you think might be helpful for yourself, you'd like to review it, or someone you know, it will be on our website, ctvnews.ca/Barrie. All the recent cold and snow our country has seen has put a good spell, on a homegrown company. Canadian Tire Corporation says the early onset of the wintry weather prompted more people to move up seasonal purchases, pushing revenue above $4.5 billion. Many shoppers were buying snowblowers, shovels, hockey gear, and automotive parts. Meanwhile, Amazon has officially overtaken Walmart to become the world's largest company by sales. This comes after the e-commerce giant posted $717 billion in sales last year. Walmart held held the top spot for 13 years straight. And on the topic of business, let's go ahead and take a look at our markets to see where the numbers closed at the end of this week. The TSX was up 222 points, the Dow was up 230, and the Nasdaq was up 203. And commodities, oil was up, closing at $66.48 a barrel. Gold is up, finishing at $5,080 an ounce. Our dollar up, ending the day at 73.05 cents U.S. Coming up on CTV Barrie, to infinity and beyond, this on-screen duo will be back for another classic struggle with the evolving world around them. This time, it's technology. Details next.
Hey, it's Steph from Bounce 1041. And next week on the show, we're giving away tickets to Honeymoon Suite and Streetheart. And don't forget, Bounce to the Beach is back! So make sure you're listening for those code words for your chance to...
Time now to take a look at your Friday night primetime lineup. Our CTV2 movie is The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and it starts at 8, followed by CTV News Barrie at 11. The iconic best friend duo, Woody and Buzz, are returning to the big screen for a 5th time.
Halt! Who goes there?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I come in peace?
It's been too long, cowboy.
One of my all-time favorites, this franchise. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are reviving the voices of the fan-favorite toys, and this time around, the story focuses on the arrival of a new smart tablet. Coming 7 years after the release of Toy Story 4, Toy Story 5 hits theaters on June 19th.
Heathcliff is gone. You must accept it.
It's expected to be a close battle for #1 at the weekend box office. Deadline reports that last week's winner, Wuthering Heights, is on track to bring in around $14 million US across North America, but it could end up behind Sony Animation's GOAT, which is forecasted to bring in a similar figure. Well, Casey Colby, all good things must come to an end. And the way that it looks for you, hopefully that's soon so we can get you inside. But after tonight's broadcast, I will be leaving you for a week and a half.
Where are you going? What part of, are you going north? Where are you going?
Yeah, you know what I thought I'd like more of in my life is snow. No, it will not be a Callaway this time around, although I have heard that it is pretty fascinating. No, I'm heading to Mexico. My mom and my sister live there during the winter, as well as my nephew. So I'll be going down to celebrate their birthdays. They're back-to-back. And so, yeah, I'll start on the Yucatan side of things and then take this new high-speed train right across Mexico to visit some friends in Tulum. So, no activity there. We'll be very, very calm and well-behaved, I'm sure.
I'm going to stay here and hang out with my buddies in Stainer.
You know, you're always speaking so highly of Stainer. One of these times,
Stainer.
you've got to take us out and show us all the positives of
Did a little
Stainer.
something on the vinegar plant there one day. Check it out. Lots of fun. Let's talk about the Get Up and Go. Here we go, Get Up and Go forecast. First thing tomorrow morning, pretty good chance of a few flurries coming down. 0, sitting at 0 in Barrie, 0 in Newmarket, and it looks like -1 in Gravenhurst. Have yourself a fantastic vacation, Sarah. And everyone at home, have yourself a wonderful evening and a better tomorrow back inside.
Thanks, Casey, and same to everyone at home. I'm Sarah Freemark. Thanks for spending this hour, this week with us. It's always appreciated. Jack will wrap things up tonight at 11, and I will see you in about a week and a half. Good night.